So we're going to go through another long division problem. So you have one video of just how to long divide or how to do long division. So first off, remember the second polynomial is your divisor. That is what is going to go on the outside of your division. Anything that is ever missing a position, meaning this started at a square, so I should go standard form square x constant. I have to make sure I include a 0 as a placeholder. So in the divisor, I have everything. I have a square, I have an x, I have a constant. In my dividend, the part that's going to go on the inside, my first polynomial, I have a 4x to the fourth, but I am missing a 0. I'm missing a cube, so I have to put a 0 there. I am also missing a square, so I have to put a 0. And then I can continue on with my linear x and my constant. You really need to make sure you have those placeholders there for when we do our division, you have everything lined up nice and neat. Okay, so as we go through this, you are going to constantly be looking at this first term. And you're always going to ask yourself, what do I have to multiply that first term in the divisor by to get the first term in the dividend? So if I extend this out to do some side work, I have an x squared, that's my divisor. What can I multiply that by to turn it into a 4x to the fourth? Well, your answer should be that you need a 4, that's going to get you the 4 in front, and then an x squared. So 4x squared times x squared does get me the 4x to the fourth. So I'm going to place that up in my quotient area on top. And then we do our distribution. You are simply going to take your quotient and you are going to multiply it to all parts of your divisor. So 4x squared times x squared is the 4x to the fourth we want. Has to be identical. 4x squared times negative 3x is a negative 12x cubed. And this is why having that 0 placeholder makes it line up nicely. 4x squared times negative 2 is a negative 8x squared. Okay, from here, you are going to subtract. You will always subtract. So we subtract all of our terms. You're going to notice I put a minus sign with every single one of them so I can not forget about that. First term should always cancel. That's the whole point of trying to find out what would be multiplied to create that first term. Then we continue with our subtraction. So 0 minus a negative 12, that gets me a positive 12x cubed. And then 0 minus a negative 8 gets me a positive 8x squared. You then drop down your next term, and then we repeat it. Look at your first term. Okay, you ask yourself, just like we did before, I have an x squared. What do I multiply it by to get a 12x cubed this time? Well, in this case, obviously I need a 12, so I'm going to multiply by 12. And x squared times x creates the x cubed. So that's going to be my next term. And it's positive, so I put plus. Do your multiplication. 12x times x squared is your 12x cubed. 12 times a negative 3x, or 12x times a negative 3x, is a negative 36. X squared, 12x times a negative 2 is a negative 24x. And again, we repeat. Go through your subtraction. You subtract every term. First term will always cancel, right? Cross that out. 8 plus 36 is going to get us a 44. X squared. 5 plus minus a negative gets us a 29x. And then drop down the negative 4. Repeat it again. Look at your first term. Always the first term. Ask yourself, I have an x squared. What do I have to multiply it by to get a 44x squared? Well, x squared is already there. I just need the 44. So plus 44 at the end. Do your distribution. 44 times x squared is 44x squared. 44 times 3 is a negative 132x. 44 times 2, negative 2 is a negative 88. And again, repeat the process, subtract everything down, right? So then first terms cancel, just as always. 29 minus a negative 132, that's 161x. Don't be afraid by the big numbers, okay? They're not going to do anything to you. It's allowed. Plus 84. That is now my remainder. I have nothing left to drop. There's nothing else I can do except now put everything together. We have our quotient up top here. We have a remainder down here. So our final answer is those together. So it is 4x squared plus 12x plus 44 plus your remainder. You're always going to add your remainder, and you take the remainder value, 161x plus 84, and you will divide it by your divisor, which should make sense because you're dividing by x squared minus 3x minus 2. So that has to be the denominator of our fractional remainder. And this is your final answer. So again, long division, make sure you have placeholders for zeros. Those always have to be there. Do not forget anything. Always ask yourself, what do I have to multiply the first term of the divisor by to get to the first term of your dividend? Distribute, subtract down. And that process just keeps repeating over and over and over again.